Good evening. Within just a couple of hours, two ministers, Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli and Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability Minister Nik Nazmi Ahmed, have announced that they have tendered their resignations. This came following their defeat in the PKR polls. Both Rafizi and Nik Nazmi stated that they will be on leave until their official resignation date. Meanwhile, Zad Ibrahim has called for the Prime Minister to step down. Stay tuned to find out why. Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli has tendered his resignation. In a media statement posted on his social media accounts, Rafizi said that he had submitted his resignation letter from the cabinet to Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. He said his resignation will take effect from June 17th and he will be clearing his annual leave beginning today until June 16th. In his post, Rafizi said that as is the practice in countries that uphold democratic principles, leaders who lose in party elections should make way for those who have won to take their place in government. He stated that he had joined politics to cultivate a new political culture based on accountability and the people's mandate. He added that his defeat in the recently concluded PKR polls means that he no longer has the mandate from his party to translate the people's agenda as championed by them into government programs. Rafizi thanked the leadership and staff of his who had given him their full support during his tenure. He also expressed his appreciation to the public, civil servants, the private sector, the media, and all stakeholders who have worked with him during his time as Minister of Economy. Rafizi's departure from the cabinet follows his recent failure to defend his PKR deputy presidency against Anwar's daughter Nurul Izzah Anwar. He had previously said that if he loses, he will resign and be a regular MP. Nik Nazmi Ahmed has also officially announced his resignation as Minister of Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability, setting July 4th as his final day in office. His decision comes just hours after Rafizi announced his resignation and makes him the second PKR leader to resign. Nik Nazmi said he will be on leave starting tomorrow until July 3rd. In a statement posted on his Facebook page, Nik Nazmi said he had submitted his resignation to Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. He said he recognizes that previous position as PKR Vice President was a key consideration in his cabinet appointment. As he has failed to defend his party post during the recent elections, Nik Nazmi said that he has decided to resign as a minister. In his post, he shared several of the reforms he had pushed for with his deputy minister and dedicated civil servants in the ministry, which included amending the Environmental Quality Act 1974 and making environmental impact assessment reports more transparent, among others. He thanked the civil servants, the team at his office, and all public, private, and civil society stakeholders that he said taught him so much and enabled them to implement significant changes during this period. He added that he looks forward to returning to his position on the backbenches of Parliament, as well as focusing on his constituency work in Setiawangsa. Nik Nazmi was one of the 12 candidates vying for the 4 elected vice president posts. The posts were won by Amiruddin Shari, R. Ramanan, Aminuddin Harun, and Chang Li Kang. Following Rafizi Ramli's resignation as Economy Minister, PKR Deputy President Nurul Izzah Anwar shared a tribute to Rafizi, hailing him as a fearless individual who never backed down from speaking the truth. In a post on Facebook, Nurul Isa said that Rafizi had introduced ideas and principles that changed Malaysia's political discourse, especially in terms of good governance, transparency, and economic justice. Nurul Isa, who recently beat Rafizi in the party election, said she believes he still has a big role to play. She said no matter where he goes next, she is confident Rafizi will keep shaping Malaysia's future in meaningful ways. She stressed that the country needs bold ideas and measures, and Rafizi still has much to contribute. She said Rafizi's ideas won't be forgotten. Instead, they'll be continued, refined, and implemented, not because they're his or hers, but because they're what's best for Malaysia. As for her next steps, Nurul Isa said she's focused on strengthening PKR, starting with mandatory training for leaders at all levels on anti-money laundering, anti-corruption, and tax compliance. She said this is vital to curb the culture of money politics and to ensure all leaders understand their responsibility and protect their integrity. Earlier today, former Minister Khairy Jamaluddin weighed in on the topic of Rafizi resigning and said that he believes Rafizi should remain in his role as Economy Minister and as a PKR member. Khairy noted that Rafizi had said that in principle, those who hold senior party positions within the federal coalition government should resign from their governmental posts if they lost their party posts. However, he said this is not necessarily the case because many ministers were appointed based on their capabilities, although they lack influence within the party. Sinaharian reported the former health minister as saying that ministerial appointments were not made solely on party positions, but also on the credibility and capability of the individuals. He added that Rafizi can still contribute ideas and efforts, even if he does not hold any important posts and need not resign from PKR. Khairi said that he was sacked from UMNO, whereas Rafizi was defeated in the PKR election. Elaborating, he said when he was sacked, he wasn't given a choice because the decision was made for him and he did not have a problem with the party. Khairi also told Rafizi to keep fighting. He said he knows how committed Rafizi is to PKR's struggle since the early days of the party and didn't see any reason or need for him to quit PKR or form a new party. If you like the stories we produce, consider supporting us by subscribing to Malaysia Kini. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on your screen to subscribe. Former Law Minister Zad Ibrahim has urged Anwar Ibrahim to step down. This is while the federal court deliberates on the Prime Minister's eligibility for immunity from civil lawsuits. In a post on X, he said such an action would be deemed proper in the pursuit of justice and fairness. This came following a report that Anwar had last week filed an application with the High Court, requesting that 8 constitutional questions be referred to the federal court, centered on whether he gets immunity from civil proceedings initiated by Yusuf Rotha, his former research assistant. In his post, Zaid said that when the PM himself is embroiled in allegations of immoral criminal misconduct, it's only proper that he steps down while the federal court looks for answers. He added that such an action by the PM would give some breathing space to our top judges to decide the case without fear or favor. Free Malaysia Today reported yesterday that Anwar is seeking a definitive ruling from Malaysia's highest court on whether Articles 39, 40 and 43 of the Federal Constitution provide him with qualified immunity against legal action brought by Yusuf 4 years ago. The report stated that the civil suit concerns incidents that purportedly occurred before Anwar assumed the office on November 24, 2022. FMT reported Anwar as characterizing the lawsuit as being founded on a manufactured claim and described himself as the target of politically motivated reputational sabotage. Do you think village chief roles should go to political loyalists? After Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim got heat from the Centre to Combat Corruption and Cronyism, Kamil Abdul Munim, his political secretary, stepped in to defend him. The backlash? A story Anwar told at the PKR Congress about appointing a loyal supporter as a village chief. Kamil Abdul Munim has claimed that C4 Centre had misunderstood the context of the Prime Minister's remarks and was being rash in its criticism. He insists the PM wasn't talking about important positions like Menteri Besar and GLC's CEO, and it is instead about village chief roles. He said this has always been the practice. Grassroots leaders who run the machinery have to be given roles in the community so they can continue to be a bridge between the rakyat and the government of the day. He said such an appointment is reasonable and not in any way an abuse of power. Kamil told Malaysia Kini the difference now is that for them to be appointed, they must be clean from any criminal record, wrongdoings, and capable of carrying out their duties well. During his winding-up speech at the Congress on Saturday, Anwar, who is also PKR president, narrated his personal story about a loyal supporter called Pak Gudus from Tanjung Karang, Selangor.
Tapi bila saya ditangkap, bila saya dipecat, dia di antara yang pertama datang menyokong. Masa itu dia sudah pencen. Pencennya RM1,800 sebulan. Ke hulu, ke hilir dengan wang sendiri. Dan saya dengan Haji Sulaiman almarhum peguam pernah dibawa ke rumah dia di pinggir sawah padi Tanjung Karang. Bawa dengan motor kerana beratnya Haji Sulaiman jatuh ke dalam sawah. Yang saya cerita pasal Pak Kudus, lepas tu kita perintah Selangor. Jadi saya fikirkan, bagilah sedikit jawatan dia, ketua kampung ke apa, adalah allowance sedikit. Tapi saya masih ingat dialog pasal itu. Ya, kita harus beri jawatan kepada yang layak. Bukan menteri, bukan CEO MBI. Bagilah yang jawatan supaya bayaran upah dia RM500-600 sebulan itu selama bertahun-tahun adalah ganjaran bila kita ada kuasa. Bagi saya, hal yang sedemikian harus diizinkan dan tidak ada penyalahgunaan kuasa.
Back to the topic of Rafizi Ramli, yesterday we asked our viewers what they thought about him getting an appointed position in PKR. At the time of reporting, around 2,300 people voted. The votes were fairly close for two of the choices. 39% thought that it was a great idea as Rafizi's experience is valuable and needed. Meanwhile, 42% thought that it wasn't right and he should respect the poll's results, as well as his past remarks about not taking a position if he loses. 13% said that it depends on the specific role and the reason given for his appointment. Let's take a look at some of the comments on the topic. Several voters brought up Rafizi's previous remarks and told him to stick to his words. Another voter said Rafizi should just remain as an ordinary MP and PKR member and let those who won manage the party heading to the next elections. One voter even suggested that he leave PKR and form a new party, saying that Malaysians will choose a new party over PKR, UMNO, Bersatu, MIC, MCA and PAS, which had lost their trust. What are your thoughts on this? Join the discussion and share your views in the comments. Next, let's take a look at some of the other headlines from today. That is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Kimilia. Thanks for watching.